Hey everybody, Lady Steam once again. Here's the video on how to make your very own geared light switch from our geared light switch kit. We hope you really enjoy this project. I'm going to start with opening the bag up, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the bigger pieces, and then we'll zoom in and look at the smaller pieces that are in the set. As always, be careful. We want to make sure you don't lose anything when you open up your bag. I'm going to slide it out very carefully. You're going to have a screw kit in this one. Just go ahead and set it aside. You don't need it quite yet. You're also going to have two very big pieces in here. One of them is the wood piece that's going to replace the light switch plate that you currently have. And then this is going to get glued to the front of that, like so. You'll also have in it a front decorative plate and a little U. You'll have two little sticks that will go on the side like this and like this. Two gears. One of them is going to have a small hole and a big hole, and the other one will have two small holes. And last but not least, our little slidey piece that will turn the light switch on and off, and our little oval bar that'll give us the ability to control that. So, hang on, we're going to zoom in and talk about what you want to do to decorate those pieces, and we'll take a look at them a little closer. All right, now let's talk about what you need to do in terms of decorating the parts and pieces of this. This big piece with the light switch hole in it is actually going to be the piece that becomes the cover plate for your light switch. So you're only going to see a few little pieces of it here and there. We're going to screw it to the wall. And then this other piece is going to get glued on top of it. So I'm anticipating that what you'll end up doing is decorating the bottom piece with some kind of pattern or something interesting through the little stained glass window on the top here. And you're not going to see a lot of that either. Make sure you sand the top surface of this. The next thing I want to look at are the gears. So you'll notice one gear has a big hole on the outside edge, and the other one has a little hole on the outside edge. These two are going to line up like this and get glued together. So we've got a space to put a screw head behind it. And they're actually going to get screwed right here through this hole. So again, how much pattern you have, how much decorating you choose to do, it's really up to you, but you want to think about that a little carefully. Now, we need to put a base layer here. So we're going to use this U as our base layer. And then we're going to use the two pieces that have a curved side on one corner and a flat side within them next. And those will go here and here like so. And this sled is going to end up going back and forth between them. So the sled is going to become our slidey up and down piece of the puzzle. Finally, this is going to sit on top like so. And the sled can go up and down and up and down. And this little popsicle stick shaped piece is going to hook here and give us the ability to guide the sled. And that's how we're going to be able to turn the slide switch up and down as it moves. Nope, that was the right direction. So now you know what the pieces are and how they're going to fit together. Now you can go and decorate away and come back to the video when you're ready to assemble it. Now that you've decorated all your pieces, let's take a look at the hardware kit and do the assembly. What you'll need first is to grab your bag of hardware. So we'll do that, and I'll open my bag of hardware and we'll take a look at what's in it. You're going to have in it 7 nuts, 3 3 1/2-inch screws. So those are the ones that are just a little bit shorter. And 4 5/8-inch screws and 2 little wooden spacers. And the assembly of this is fairly straightforward. So I'm going to start by putting the bottom section of it together first, I think. So that gives us this little U piece that goes against our pretty decorated piece. I'm going to leave gluing the last 2 pieces together to the very end. Our 2 little sliders for our sled and our top decorative piece. Now, my recommendation is, again, not to glue these together, is just to put the screw spacers in. If you're having trouble, like I am tonight, it's always easy to start with taking the screws up from the bottom as such. Hold on to them, flipping back over, and then you can build your piece backwards. And then flip the nuts over, screws over at the very end. So I'm going to put all 4 of my pieces in here, like that. And I'm going to carefully start these nuts just so that I don't have to worry about them. I'm not going to do very much with them, but I'm just going to get them a little bit of a jump start. And that makes this piece of the assembly really easy. I'm going to let that screw be the one I move first. I'll pop it out of the bottom. Push it back in through the top. And then you need to make sure that you tighten all the nuts so that as things slide around, they don't come off. So I just use a little dot of super glue on there. You can also use Loctite, and make sure you don't tighten this up very tight. We're going to need to make sure we've got some space between a couple of pieces, and if you were to tighten those nuts up, you wouldn't have enough room for the sled to slide back and forth, and then you would be sanding and sanding and sanding on your sled. So, second screw. Second nut, and again I'm going to make sure it's nice and loose. I can test my looseness just by sliding my sled in between the pieces and making sure that it goes up and down okay, which it does. Could be a little looser, but not too bad. Flip these other 2 pieces over. And since you've got loose bars in here, you gotta be a little careful when you do that flip because they really can escape, and then you have to fight with them to get the holes lined up. Again, very, very, very loose is the name of the game here. As you go ahead and put the pieces together. So I've now got a nice base for my sled to slide back and forth in. And that's the piece that's actually going to turn your light switch on and off. Now we need to look at the gears we're going to use to drive them. So what we want to do is, you'll notice you've got one gear that has a big hole on it and one gear that has a small hole on it. And if I take the one with the big hole on the outside, I can glue those 2 together very carefully. So I'm going to put a ring of glue around the middle and a ring of glue around the outside. If you can't figure out why the 2 don't line up, it's probably because one of them is backwards from the other. That would be a bad thing. You might have to flip it over, go back to doing a little more decorating, but that'll be okay. And I've now gone ahead and got my gear all set here. So what I need to do next is I need to get set up to be able to drive the shuttle. And I'm going to do that by bringing this other 1/2-inch screw up through from the side of the big hole so the nut itself is protected. I'm going to put one of these little wooden spacers on it, which is going to give me space to go above this nut. And you'll notice if I spin back and forth now, this will actually spin over the head of that screw. So I can do that, and then I can put a little tiny drop of glue on the top of this. This one's a little trickier in terms of how tight it needs to be, because it needs to be tight enough so that you don't lose that screw head out the bottom, but still loose enough so it can spin all the way around nicely. So I'll let you play with it a little bit to see how tight you want to make it, but don't get it too tight or you will get stuck. And now that I've done that, I can actually go ahead and put this screw through my back plate. And I'm getting very close to done. I'm going to go ahead and put this nut on here. You may decide that you want to wait and go back and put all of the glue on all of the nuts when you're done with your project. So now I can spin and spin and spin. And that spins really nicely. So the last thing I need to do is get these two pieces put together. And the way I'm going to do that is I've got a convenient hole right here in the back that I can use to slide up. I can put a spacer layer on so that they match. I'm actually going to cheat and go back a little bit now so that it doesn't fall back through that hole on me. Oops, come forward maybe. Adjust the wheel so that's in the right place. And then I'm going to put one more drop of glue here. And put my nut on top. If you want to, you can slide it back down so you can get your screwdriver into it through that hole. But again, you want to make sure you're loose enough that everything still slides and spins swimmingly here as you go up and down, whichever direction you decide you want to go with your brand new switch plate. And finally, you're actually ready to go ahead and glue the two together. Remember to put it the correct direction so that you've got holes to mount your switch plate to it. So I'm just going to flip this over here, put a little bit of glue around the outside. And glue the whole thing together. Pick it back up. Smush it down to make sure the glue all sticks nicely. And now when you're ready to mount it on your wall, all you need to do is take those two screws out of your plastic switch plate and you can put this on the front of it. Children, don't try this at home. Make sure you have your parents help you screw on your new switch plate, because we would not want you to get your fingers in the electrical outlet. That would be bad. So have your parents help you screw it on if you're a child. Otherwise, you have a beautiful linkage from, and you're now driving a vertical light switch with a round gear. Thanks so much.